Hey guys, this is Ironhide X, and now I'm going to be taking a look at the Friedrich der Große, the Tier 9 German battleship that retains pretty much all the good things about the Bismarck and just improves upon them. So with that, let's get right into it. Right off the bat, her survivability is probably best in tier for battleships. Her armor, of course, is miles better than Azumo or Iowa. Um, 80,000 plus hit points, great armor, extraordinarily difficult to citadel. She is by far the toughest tier 9 battleship. Um, she has a choice between two guns, either the 16-inch or the 420s. Um, some people say to go the 16. I always just go for the bigger guns because bigger is better. Her AA defense is I won't say like supreme, but it's adequate. Uh, Against lower tier carriers, you can often drop them before they can drop on you, but tier 9 carriers normally will still get through. The build I'm running on mine, as you'll see, I'm running a secondary build. Now with the changes to captain skills and whatnot in the last patch, this is by no means the only build to run with this ship. You can run more stealthy, go for full damage control, or secondary, a whole bunch of different things. Me, I like the secondaries. Though my third module here, as you see, I did not go with that. I went with the module that reduces your main gun reload time, because you still have really good guns. But other than that, my ship is completely decked out for secondaries and for brawling. I don't have the concealment thing on here because I'm often so close that it doesn't matter. Um, and you see for consumables, I run premium everything except the catapult fighter. One thing you will note here in a minute on my captain skills, I do need to respec because I have one of the wrong captain skills selected. As far as flags, the most important ones that one on the bottom left, the flag that increases your secondary battery range. That's a really important flag. And then, as you see here, these are the ones I normally run on my German battleships. Now we're going to take a look at the captain skills. On this first tier, see where I have it selected where it reduces the module chance. It's actually useless for battleships, so I am going to respec that and go with the catapult fighter instead. But other than that, you can see that skill right there. Yeah, that one's don't use that one on battleships. But everything else, I went with full secondaries and survivability. And again, this is not the only way to play this ship. This is just the way I like to do it, and experiment around, see what works best for you. One thing I will say with secondaries, when you play them, you also get a really big AA buff. So your secondaries are great, and your AA is much better. So I've explained to you ship. Now let's go take a look and see how it performs in battle. So here we are, this game I played last night with my two clanmates. And on this map, it's kind of I don't really like this map because if your other side gets annihilated, or actually, you know what, the map's fine. I don't like the spawns. I like being in control of my group and the outcome of the battle. And if the other side gets wiped out, you're pretty much just screwed. And so I don't like that too much. But here's how I play this map in a battleship, and specifically this battleship. I like to go towards this island in front of me as much as I can, and try to get shots on anything that tries to cross. And you'll see here in a second. Now with this battleship, with the Freddy, I want to brawl. I want to get in close and use my advantages against the enemy. And what the magic number is 10.6. I want to get within 10.6 kilometers of whatever I'm fighting, because at 10.6 I have a massive advantage over any battleship I face. If you're dueling in Iowa or Missouri and they're staying at 18 kilometers, they actually have better gun power than you do. And while you can't get citadeled, as long as they're angled, you're not going to citadel them either. So really getting in close and brawling is a big deal for this. And also, because this was recorded on a replay, you actually can't see me moving my mouse around and clicking my manual secondaries in these planes. But anytime a plane gets close, I hold down left control and I left click the plane so my AU will shoot it down. And every time you see my secondaries fire, whenever you do have manual fire control, you have to hold down control and click on the enemy ship for it to get to start firing, like you just seen there. But because this is a replay, you couldn't actually see me do that. But that's what I do. Now with this ship, against these other, the odds of them actually citadeling you are at this range are practically zero. I went into a training room with my Yamato and went 1 kilometer from this thing, and even with my Yamato, I could not citadel it. You have to be farther away to citadel it. That said, you still don't want to show broadside, because while you may not take a citadel hit, you still will take a huge amount of damage if you're just perfectly broadside, so you definitely want to angle. And here, I was hoping these guys are going to push, because oftentimes on this map, whichever battleship group pushes first tends to get annihilated, which is terrible. And I hate saying that because I love playing aggressive. I love pushing, and I would rather die really than sit and play passive. But if they're going to be this close and give me all the advantages of my ship, I'm going to angle away so I can get all my secondaries firing. I'm going to hit the brakes. I want to just stay angled, let my secondaries go to work while also shooting them with my main guns. That's my big goal here. And as you see, my secondaries are going to town. They're opening up, and they are brutal. The secondaries on this, well, on all German battleships, really starting at the Bismarck, are incredible. They are incredible. I love them. And just setting fires, doing all kinds of damage, and it leaves you open to even shoot at other targets. So if you have a battleship that's within your secondary range that's angled, you can just put your secondaries on him and shoot at another ship that's not angled, perhaps, and even further increase your damage that way. If you look at here, you see those 2 cruisers coming up. I'm aware of them, and one of the big risks to this ship is torpedoes. So I'm watching where those cruisers are going to pop out, and I know there's that little part of that island sticking out, and they won't be able to get their torpedoes off until they cross that. So that's why I'm kind of still just sitting here and not too concerned about torpedoes yet, because they can't really launch on me yet. And I switched my secondaries over to one of those cruisers. I'm going to start pounding them. I am starting to drift a little bit to the left where they might be able to get a torpedo on me, and I'm completely aware of it. So that's why I'm about to turn, so that way any torpedoes they did launch will sail past. But because of that island right there, they won't actually have been able to get it on me. Throughout this battle, remember when we started, I was talking about how if your other side gets wiped out, you're in a lot of trouble. And just looking at the mini-map, I was quickly realizing that's exactly what's happening. Our other side is getting annihilated. And so our only hope really of winning is to push forward and annihilate these guys, and then deal with whatever ships come at us from the other side. When this fight here first started with those other ships, I was hoping they were going to push towards us, and that's why I slammed on the brakes and just let my second. But they ended up wising up and they turned around, and so we weren't able to kill them all, and that ends up coming back to bite us quite a bit. And smart move on their play. Maybe we could have played a little more aggressive. Maybe we could have pushed them. I don't know. As far as the exchange of damage, it was massively in our favor. There's no doubt in that exchange, they all lost about at least half their health, and we virtually came out unscathed. So we definitely won the exchange there, but again, they're still floating. There's still guns in the game. There's still points. So we might have won the health exchange, but we didn't gain anything by it, and they had the lead, so it's up to us to go get them. Now with the Freddy, I almost always die just to 2 things, to fire and to torpedoes, but more towards torpedoes are your #1 threat, especially since you have to get within that 10.6 kilometer range to be at your maximum damage output, and because of that, torpedoes are a huge issue. So I'm always trying to be very aware of where their torpedo boats are and whatnot. and try to avoid them. A lot of in these higher tier battleships, WASD hacks are great, you know, to avoid torpedoes, but often changing your speed is the most effective way, especially in other nations' battleships. Because in other nations' battleships, if you show your side, you're going to die. And so here's a Tirpitz. I know he's coming out. He's trying to do a torpedo run. And that's his big deal. He's going to try to torpedo me, and I'm aware of that. I've already hit the brakes. I'm backing up. I got my secondaries on him. At this range now, he's completely screwed. And I know he has 6-kilometer torpedoes. So as long as you don't get within 6 kilometers of him, there's nothing he can do to you. His 15-inch guns are not going to kill you. I got my secondaries on him while I'm shooting at the other guy. And doing that, this thing will just rack up the damage. Just rack it up. And playing with a destroyer sitting in smoke, getting close to a group of guys and letting your secondaries work, this thing can really put out some damage. But again, you have to really get into that brawl range, because I don't feel these guns are... They're just not effective at range. I mean, you will still Citadel stuff at 20 kilometers, but getting into brawl, that's really what this ship's all about. You really want to do that. Getting those secondaries going. And of course, this is only if you're running a secondary build, which, you know, that's what I feel the German battleship should be running. That's their best bet. They've got hydro. They're fairly fast. They don't turn. They're not a destroyer. They're not going to turn on a dime, but they're really not that bad. You can torpedo beat quite well in these. Just again, use your WASD and your well, I guess that included that, but use your turning and your speed changes to really avoid torpedoes. That's going to be a really big deal. Those speed changes are how I avoid most torpedo strikes. Okay, so y'all see how this is going so far. It's obvious this one's not going to be. You will see how well this thing takes damage. I'm getting shot at now from my left, my front, and my right from battleships. And I believe a cruiser or two shooting at me. So this thing can really soak up the damage. That's one thing you're going to be really happy at when you play this ship. You're gonna love that. I went ahead and did this video because normally people will just put on videos where they only win, because no matter how good you are, sometimes you're gonna lose. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. This had a lot of close-in brawling and using the strengths of the ship, and that's really why I chose this video. But no, we're not going to win this fight. It's just it's too far gone. The other side got annihilated. We did not capitalize on the advantage we had on our side by taking out that group of battleships quick enough. And so it was a combination of the two, and that's why we're going to end up losing this match. You see, even at this range, my secondaries still going to town, still working, so I'm free to engage other targets if there were any available while those secondaries are going to work. To get them to work, though, guys, you really do have to have those captain skills. You got to get that the manual secondary control, especially. They're just nowhere near on par without them, so you really do have to have that. But again, it's not the only way to play this ship. Experiment with whatever you like best. This is just what I like best. With the changes to the captain skills, a whole bunch of different things can work. This is just, I like it. It's my favorite way to play it. And so that's what I'll recommend to you guys, because hopefully that's what you hear. So now I'm going to get burned to death, and I'm going to end up dying, and we'll end up losing the match, and there's not really too much I can do about that. So, my impressions on the German battleships in general, I think they are probably the best battleships in the game. I can actually say that for certain. They're the best battleships in the game, up until the only thing maybe is the Tier 10. The Tier 10 German battleship is, I would say, at least as good as the Yamato, or better. But it's definitely not any worse. The fact that these things can not be citadeled at close range, is such a huge advantage. It just cannot be overstated enough. Guys, I really recommend this ship. I really recommend the whole grind. Start grinding up. Let me know. You can even send me a replay, and if it's something cool, I'll make a video on it. And again, this is Ironhide X. Hope you enjoyed this guide / review of the Tier 9 German battleship, the Friedrich der Große. And I will see you next time. And I'll let the video go here just so you can see me explode. There we go. And I died. I was there, and then I was gone.